Welcome back to the High School Bekius program. Today we're doing Ham and Aleph and Moed Katan. Today's Gemara contains two main points. The first one is that if there's an irrigation canal of a private person, you're allowed to fix it, but not dig it out initially. And Rabbi Yochanan says that for the public, you're allowed to even dig it out initially. The Gemara is going to challenge this and discuss how it works with three different brises. Then the Gemara is going to discuss at the end the idea of marking off graves so that Kohanim don't become Tameh. At the top, the Gemara says, you're allowed to fix irrigation canals of a private field, but you're not allowed to dig them out. Chatita in, you can repair them, but you're not allowed to dig them out. We're only talking about when the public doesn't need them. If the public needs it to drink from, they're allowed to dig it out initially. When the public needs it, is it really primitive? But it sounds like in the Bryce that you're allowed to fix a well, a pit, or a ditch, or a cave for a private person, and certainly if you do a private person, it's unnecessary to say for the rabbim, for the public, they're allowed to fix it. But you're not allowed to do it for the public to dig it out initially. Certainly can't do it for a private person. Basically, the Brisa is trying to tell you, you can fix things, you can't dig them. So my life isn't the Brisa talking about Bishurab, we're talking about even when they need the water to drink from, still can't do it. So you see a challenge to Rabbi Yochanan from the first Brisa. The Gemara says no. What the Brisa is talking about is when they don't need the water. The Gemara says, if that's true, we're trying to say that the Brisa is talking about when you don't need it, and still saying you can fix things. We're saying that for the private person, you can fix things when it is not necessary. You can still fix things. Why is that true? But anyway, the second Brisa seems not to imply otherwise. You're allowed to collect water in private people's ditches and pits. You're not even allowed to fix them. You're not allowed to deal with the cracks and pave them, plaster them. But for the public, you're allowed to do it. So in order to make the first Brisa and the second Brisa sort of work out, that the first Brisa said for the individual it is permitted to fix, and the second one telling you it's not allowed to fix anything. Well, it must be that the first one was telling you where you needed the water, we allow fixing, and for the second one, you don't need the water. Ella, my b'shiyachid sarach. So rather must be that we're going back to the first Brisa and talking about when the water is necessary. That's when we allow fixing. We're talking about the public when they do need the water. And seeing the first place it comes out that when they do need the water, they're allowed to fix, but not allowed to dig initially. So we're saying, well, is that really true? When the public does need the water, they're not allowed to dig it initially. Meaning that's what you're telling me. The first Brisa to come and teach us against Rabbi Yochanan. We have a third Brisa that might indicate further proof for Rabbi Yochanan. Let's see. That if you have a ditch, a pit, a cave for an individual, you're allowed to collect water, and you're also allowed to fix it. When there's cracks, you're not allowed to scour them. You can't fix those cracks. Plaster it. And plaster up those cracks. Can't fix all those cracks. Whether it's plaster, scouring, cement, no good. But for the public, you're allowed to do all those things. You're allowed to even dig it initially. So doesn't that imply that the public is allowed to dig? There must be, if there's a case where the public's allowed to dig, it has to be when they need the water. So doesn't that show that this is against the first Brisa, that it is permitted to dig initially if you need the water? So, but bottom line, even if you have the third Brisa that's in favor of Rabbi Yochanan, the first Brisa is against Rabbi Yochanan. Where says no, we can explain the first Brisa. The first line and the second line of the first Brisa are talking about totally different cases. That we're talking about when the Yachid needs the water, and they're allowed to fix things. You're allowed to fix things when you need the water for a private and certainly for the public, because when the public needs things, they can do whatever they want. They can even dig initially. But you can't dig initially. The ditch, the pit, the well, the cave. When the public doesn't need it, and you certainly can't do it for the private when they don't need it. Because when the private doesn't need it, you can't even fix things. Here's a chart that will help organize this. We have the first Brisa that sounds like fixing, always good, digging, always bad. We have a second Brisa that says collecting is always good, digging is always bad, fixing depends on private versus public. So in order to make the first and second brisa work out, sounds like the Gemara says we're going to be against Rabbi Yochanan, but we're going to come out to say that the first brisa is talking about you don't need the water, second brisa is talking about you need the water, the opposite. The first brisa is talking about when you need the water, second brisa is talking about you don't need the water, and it comes out to this nice resolution. But basically, you can never dig initially, even if you're the public, against Rabbi Yochanan. Whereas, but we have a third brisa that talks about the public digging initially. So what do we do with that one? Where I said, all right, you know what? Talking about the third brisa, that's talking about we need the water. Second brisa is talking about well, you don't need the water. All right, what do we do with the first brisa? First brisa doesn't seem to fit in any of these lines. The answer is, actually, first brisa is take the first line, and that's talking when you need the water. The second line is talking about when you don't need the water, and it lines up very nicely. Murray says we have another proof. To Rabbi Yochanan. We have an implication in the Mishnah. The Mishnah is very precise according to his. Also goes to you're allowed to do anything for the public. What is that coming to include? That you're allowed to do anything for the public. Aren't we trying to say you can include even digging? No, that's not correct. We're coming to include other examples of things you can do for the public. You're allowed to remove the thorns in the paths of the streets and the sidewalk. You can fix the streets. Is start to the main highways. You can measure up the mikvahs, make sure they're all they have the right measures. They have 40 saw, call mikvah arba'im saw, margulin tocha arba'im saw. And if there's not 40 saw, requisite amount of water for people to go to mikvah, well then you're allowed to bring new water in there. And we'll make sure the water rolls in there, is brought in there. If things are not taken care of in the city, it's like the public is killing those people that died by these obstacles in the streets that they weren't fixed by the public. It's a public obligation to take care of these things. The blood's upon you for not taking care of these public things. But these things are explicit in the Mishnah. This is not what the Mishnah is coming to include. What does the Mishnah come to include with the catch-all phrase? You can do everything for the public. It doesn't mean for Rabbi Yochanan that you're allowed to dig initially. No. So the Gemara says yes. No, that's approved to Rabbi Yochanan. You mark off graves to make sure Kohanim don't become tummy. What's that based on? Where's the hint to this in the Torah? They saw in Yechezkel, they saw a bone, and you're supposed to build a marker next to it. Who told us this idea before Yechezkel came along? According to that idea that you can't have anything new by Yechezkel's time. Well, Rav Chizah said we didn't learn this idea from Moshe Rabbeinu's Torah, from the Torah. We learned it from Yechezkel. It's a brand new thing. So what do Rav Chizah say? That someone who doesn't have a bris, or someone who's bein nechar, doesn't have a bris, Aralev is someone who is doesn't believe in Hashem, doesn't believe in the Ikarim of Torah. So they're Apikoris, they're someone who can't do a vote in the Beit HaMikdash. Great. But it doesn't say that in Chumash. Yechezkel came up and invented that. So who's the first person? Why? How's that true if Yechezkel is the first one to say it? So you see, we can learn things new from Yechezkel. Where it says, Ela Gemara Gemirila. Actually, whenever we say that Yechezkel came up with something and we don't have it in the Chumash, it just means Gemara Gemirila. It is an old tradition. It means it's a very old tradition. It goes back to Moshe. But Yechezkel asked by Kra. It was an old tradition, and then Yechezkel came and hinted to it in a pasuk. But the same thing can be said in our case about setting up demarcations of the kvaros. That whenever there's a Tamei thing, people, they should call out and they should announce everybody by the Matzorah. They should call out, this is Tamei, and don't bump into it. Tuma Korelav Omer Loprosh. The thing of Tuma should announce everybody, indicate, this is Tamei, don't come close. That's how Rabbi Uziel explained the pasuk as well. Is that really true? But maybe it's true a different idea. Look at the time the Brisa teaches that the Mitzvah walks around, tells everybody he's talking. He's supposed to tell everybody the pain he's in. And people daven for him. That's a good idea. So this is the Gemara. You're right. You can. That is true that we can learn davening for other people from this pasuk. But we learn the thing about announcing people that a person's tamei. In Kain Lichto V'Tamei Yikra, that it says if it said only one time Tamei Yikra, that to teach people that they should announce to everybody their tummy that they should daven for him. My tummy, Shami not tarti. The idea that says tummy twice teach you the announcing and also teach you that that people should daven and also teach you to demarcate tumah. Abai Marmi Hacha, we even have the proof of neighbor, you should put a stumbling block in front of a blind person, shouldn't mess over the Kohanim that they should know about the Kvaros. You should tell them about it. You should clear away and make path for people walking, for the Kohanim. You should remove the obstacles from the path of my people. Rabbi Shomer, a brader of Idi, you should show people the way to walk clearly and without any obstacle. You should teach Klal Yisrael how to avoid tumah, how to help the Kohanim avoid tumah. That you should make a guard around the laws of the restriction of the Torah, and you should make a fence around them. You should demarcate it so this way people should fall in. That people will see the path and take cognizant and be very cognizant of it and careful with it. And with that, they're going to see the Geula, the revelation of Hashem. On the same pasuk, Rabbi Shimon Levi learns the following idea, that when a person is careful to calculate their ways and think about what they're doing, so they're going to come and see the Yeshua of Hashem, Hashem's salvation. Sam derech. It literally should be read the Sam derech, that a person sets his ways. A person sets his ways is going to see the revelation. Adagri v'sam el v'sham. It doesn't mean the person sets his ways, rather it means v'sham derech. It means the person calculates. Whereas once there was this Talmud, he used to ask him questions every time he gave shir. He used to ask him kashas. When he used to give public shir around the holidays of the regalim, actually, this Talmud would not ask him any questions because they were public shir, and it would embarrass him if he didn't know the answer to the questions. He said about this Talmud, Sam derech that he knew how to Sham derech, he knew how to calculate his ways, knew when it was appropriate to ask questions, what was not appropriate to ask questions, might embarrass his Rabbi Yeshua.